There is no way that this just happened. As the Winnipeg Jets take their first loss of the year to the Toronto Maple Leafs, there are some very interesting takeaways from this game, including a Kyle Connor hat trick. But we have some things to discuss surrounding the blue line in tonight's game. So we're going to break all it down in this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder, hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel and you enjoy the daily NHL content, if you're enjoying the daily Winnipeg Jets content, hit that subscribe button. I know they lost, but what an interesting game, Darius. And it's their first loss of the season. And there's some things to take away from it because heading into the game, the big conversation was, hey, will the Jets be able to beat the record, get to 11-0? Maybe we're looking a bit too far ahead as they fell to the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, but they showed a lot of grit, specifically after going down 4-0. There's a lot of takeaways from this game, but let's start with some of the positives and the negatives here. This chart is absolutely ridiculous for one. It was a bad game for Neil Pionk. It was a bad game for Dylan Sandberg. Those are the two guys that obviously stood out as the worst performers tonight, and you do not need the game score impact card to see that. If you're watching the game, Pionk gave up a couple bad turnovers, led to goals. A lot of different things here. But Darius, what did you see out of the Winnipeg Jets tonight? They had, and we're going to get to the positives, they had a great third period. They bounced back. I'm not concerned about this team, especially with the way that they bounced back against a goaltender and Anthony Stolarz, who is having a very elite season so far up until this point. The team bounced back. Kyle Connor got a hat trick. Josh Morrissey had 3 assists. That being said, we were praising Pionk, we were praising Dylan Sandberg on this channel, and they had a bit of a disaster class game today.
Yeah, and don't mind the jerseys behind us. We'll try and be as objective and impartial as possible. But of course, the Winnipeg Jets did lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you know what? We've been talking about it on the channel, Dylan Sandberg and how great he's been this year. And even Neil Pionk, right? Tonight, not a good game for either of them. They really skewed the stats here on some of the advanced analytics for the rest of the team. It was they were on for almost every single goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I was very surprised because, the Toronto Maple Leafs were kind of sputtering into this game. And, we didn't know what we were going to get out of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we knew exactly what we thought we were going to get from the Winnipeg Jets because they've been playing the same way and well for 8 games in a row. And it looked like they were going for that record. And I was surprised because, if you remember a couple of years ago, Mark Scheifele saying that there's nothing better than beating the Leafs. I guess not even, winning the Stanley Cup, but nothing better than beating the Maple Leafs. So I thought they were going to get up for this game. And you know what? There were some positives to take from this game specifically. I mean, Kyle Connor with a hat trick. We're going to get to that in a second too. And obviously the special teams for the Winnipeg Jets. I thought the power play looked pretty good. Obviously getting a couple goals there and not much 5-on-5 again, a little bit of a negative, but with a man advantage in this game, they were very good. So little things to pull from this game. And, at some point you knew that they were going to lose. Maybe it stings a little bit to the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have beaten the Winnipeg Jets 6 times in a row now. But, maybe it stings a little bit, but still lots of positives on the season for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, and you're looking at it, again, 3 power play goals for the Winnipeg Jets. They went down 4-0 early. It was a disaster. Connor Hellebuyck was looking shaky, but the way that they came back was very interesting to me. We had guys like, Kyle Connor, what a start to this season for him. I think he's up to now 13 points, something crazy like that. He's having an incredible season. And the way, after they went down 4-0, I was thinking in my head, what the Jets need to do now is to just bounce back and show a little bit of fight. Darius, we were talking about this off camera. We knew that Jets were going to have their punch back after the Leafs went up 4-0. The question was, how big of a punch back, and was it going to be enough for them to actually win the game? And games like this happen throughout the regular season where they have cold starts and all these things happen. But luckily for the Jets, they have one of the best goaltenders in the NHL in Connor Hellebuyck. So most of the time that games like this happen, Hellebuyck would only give up 3 goals, let's say, or even 4 goals instead of the 5 and 6 ultimately with the empty netter. But unfortunately, it was just a bit of an off day for Connor Hellebuyck tonight, but also an off day for the blue line. And you see this here, they lost 6-4. Kyle Connor scored a hat trick, and now has 9 goals. He's averaging a goal a game. And as you look forward, the Jets play the Red Wings. I think that should be a pretty easy win for them. But again, there's no easy wins in the NHL. The Leafs were really struggling heading into this game, losing 3 in a row against a couple of rough teams, and of course the Bruins on Saturday. But if you're a Jets fan, you can't be upset necessarily with this loss. You can be upset with the process. You can be upset with the way and the discipline of the blue line, specifically Dylan Sandberg and Neil Pionk. But their bounce back out of Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers even feeding Kyle Connor for a great pass and a goal. Like, they looked very good. And there was a time there when it was a 1-goal game before the empty netter where the Leafs were really on their toes. And after going down 4-0, they could have just folded, say, hey, we're undefeated this year. We'll fold after this one. But Scott Arniel hasn't playing well, hasn't playing hard, and they almost stole another point And if they play like they did tonight throughout the whole season, minus that first period specifically, if they have this battle back, there's a lot of games that they might not deserve to win, but Connor Hellebuyck will steal for them. And unfortunately, tonight wasn't one of those games with him having a bit of an off night for his standards. And I still think he played pretty solid, saved a really clutch goal against Max Domi. Max Domi had a great shot on the breakaway, almost half breakaway. Very good game, but it was a fun one to watch nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a great game. And like you said there, Connor Hellebuyck, he did make a couple big saves, right? But a little bit of an off night for him. But the Jets were still in it. And the entire topic of conversation for the Winnipeg Jets so far this season, and the whole theme of the 8-0 start is finding ways to win. They've been finding ways to win, even though they were down. They have a couple overtime wins in that as well. So it looked for a minute there, with just over a minute left, maybe they're going to get a goal with the man advantage, right? They were going to pull the goalie and they were going to get another goal here and send it to overtime. It looked like they weren't down and out. So that was another silver lining that you can take from this game, that, with Kyle Connor scoring that hat trick, I mean, he put on a show tonight, and the Jets were in the game. And again, there's a couple quotes here. And what do you think? I wanted to get your opinion on this too, Nick, because obviously there's a bit of a coaching change coming into this season, and he has been playing fantastic. What do you think of the new Winnipeg Jets coaching staff, I guess, the coach, and how the players have responded so far this season?
Yeah, he obviously set the record for new head coach, getting 8 wins in a row. And I know a lot of Jets fans at the time of the hire weren't super excited because obviously Scott Arniel was still a part of the Rick Bowness system. I believe he was their assistant coach at the time before he transitioned into their head coach. But I mean, clearly there was a reason they made this hire, and the fans are starting to buy in. The players certainly bought in early, and the way they're playing has looked very good. Their power play looks crisp. It looks great. It looks, the polar opposite of the Maple Leafs power play, which continues to be terrible. But the power play of the Jets looks great. The way that their coaching staff has been looks great. They've unlocked some things in Cole Perfetti. Yes, they lost tonight, but the fact that they kept battling shows discipline. And they had discipline under Rick Bowness. Don't get me wrong. Rick Bowness brought some very good things to this team after Paul Maurice left. Change in culture, change in scenery, and I wish Bowness all the best in retirement. He's a great coach as well. His time was unfortunately just done coaching the NHL. But now Scott Arniel, he's taking over a lot of the positives and a lot of the mentality that Rick Bowness instilled in this team, and is adding to it with some more modern play, which is something that a lot of Jets fans desperately wanted. And it looks great. They were able to unlock a lot of their players, and you're going to see games like tonight happen. You're still 8-1, phenomenal team. And I'm loving the way the new coach is handling the Winnipeg Jets. And I think a lot of fans out there are starting to warm up to the fact that Scott Arniel is here to stay, and they clearly did their due diligence with it. And it's not like the Jets had a horrible coaching staff. They're coming off a 100-point season with Rick Bowness. They didn't fire Rick Bowness like they did Paul Maurice. He retired. So Scott Arniel took over, and I'm liking the way, and I'm liking the hire so far this season.
Yeah, he's been great, and like you said, he's just taken over that mindset change that was instilled just a couple seasons ago at Rick Bowness, right? So the Jets, I mean, they certainly weren't a bad team last year, so I don't think many people were expecting them to start this hot. And I mean, when you look at the advanced analytics from this game specifically, not great, and for two players specifically, but when you look at the entire sample size for the entire season, it is good, and the numbers are still very good. So I think Jets fans, you can be upset about the loss and about who it was against, but looking forward, you could probably be 9-1 on the season with this next game against the Detroit Red Wings. And when you're looking forward into the rest of the season, this is a really good team who's off to a hot start, and they're not playing catch up whatsoever. So they can really run away with a really tough Central Division. Honestly, that there's a couple teams that you're expecting Nashville to bounce back as well. Minnesota started hot as well. So it's a pretty tough division. I didn't even mention Colorado. They're there as well. So they did themselves a lot of favors starting this hot. And, it's one game. You're going to lose a couple games during the course of the season. So good start for the Winnipeg Jets. And still, their numbers are very good. It's one game.
Yeah, let us know in the comments your thoughts are on this. Are you concerned if you're a Jets fan? And make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to keep producing Jets content for you guys as they continue to be a very solid team despite the loss tonight. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.